Hi guys, welcome to a new video, and today I would like to take a look at one of the most popular Xiaomi phones, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9S. In my previous video I discussed the Redmi Note 9, and now we're going to check its slightly more luxurious brother, the 9S. So this will be a quick review. I hope you guys like this new format, and now let's get going. So let's quickly glance over the specs of the Redmi Note 9S. Let's see. It is a relatively heavy phone at above 200 grams, even a little heavier than the regular Redmi Note 9. And it is also slightly thinner, but it is longer and a bit narrower than the Redmi Note 9. So that's pretty interesting. It comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM, and you can get it in 64 or 128 gigabytes of storage, just like the 9. And it comes with micro SD card expansion. On the bottom you will find a 3.5mm headphone jack, USB Type-C port, and the speakers. On the back side we will find a 48 megapixel camera, and the array consists of 4 lenses, which includes an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle, a 5 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. The camera supports 4K 30 FPS footage, and also 1080p at 30, 60 or 120 frames. And it even supports 720 frames per second. It even supports 960 frames per second on 720p resolution. So all in all, pretty impressive. On the side we have the side-mounted fingerprint scanner and standby button, and of course the volume rocker. At the top we have actually got a infrared sensor, and so that's on almost all of the Xiaomi phones. So all in all, pretty impressive hardware. So if we look at the display of the phone, that is actually an IPS HDR10 enabled display with full HD plus resolution, and it has 1080p by 2400 pixels, giving it almost 400 ppi, and it's very impressive. So we have the side-mounted fingerprint sensor, and it works pretty fast. You can see unlocking devices pretty instantly, and this is one of the fastest fingerprint sensors I've seen. And that makes it very, very nice to use. At 450 nits, the display is fairly bright. And what I like about these devices from Xiaomi is that all of them run the custom skin or almost custom operating system of Xiaomi, and that is called MIUI. This is a 12th iteration, and as you can see, it's just so beautifully animated. It looks really nice. It's based off of Android 10. Some of the models are now also getting Android 11, based on the MIUI 12, so the Android itself doesn't really change, but MIUI 12 of course is what gives it extra functionality. So it's really nice with MIUI 12 that you have all of these extra applications, enhancements. So for instance, we can have Google Chrome in a small floating window, so we can scroll here, cast it to the side if we want to, and continue doing something else. So that's something that's really nice about this device. So this device comes in at around 200 euros, but if you look out for the discounts, which Xiaomi often has on their Mi store, you can get a lot of discounts on this device, and I was able to bounce this device for a total deduction of only 144 euros for the 4 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes standard variant. So that is really incredible value. So speaking about value, let's play a little game on here. Let's just swap this away. Because this phone is powered by a Snapdragon 720G, so that is a pretty impressive for the price, and it does enable you to play a heavy game like Genshin Impact, which is really nice. You have here the cutout for the camera in the middle. I prefer it more to the side, like it did on the regular Note 9, but all in all, it's not too bad. So you can see here that it's loading the data. It's doing that relatively fast. Of course, this is a regular 60 Hz display, so no fancy high refresh rates or anything like that. But iPhones don't have that either at the moment, so it's nothing to be ashamed of, really. So these heavier games do take a little while to load. You can also see a little bit of edge bleeding here on the bottom, and a tiny bit around the camera punch hole, but it's nothing too bad. And the colors are still vibrant, as you will see in a few seconds. Bottom firing speaker is pretty loud. So as you can see, I think I have it on very high settings, because you can see it jitter to around, I think, below 30 frames per second. You can actually check the graphics settings at the moment. So you see it's overclocked. I have everything set on medium and 60 frames per second, and you see that that's just a little too much. So what we're going to do is actually put it back to 30 frames per second. Let's see if that improves something a little bit. So you see gameplay is a lot smoother now, while everything is still rendered pretty high level of detail. So that's what I like about this game. You can really see what the graphics look like. So see, that looks pretty nice. Only you can see that I can block off the sound pretty easily with my bottom hand. But we check out the camera quality. It's nothing really super outstanding, but for the price, again, you know, a 48 megapixel camera, that is still pretty sweet. And we do have our wide angle camera here, which looks pretty impressive. We have our regular camera, and then we have our macro camera, so you can see the sharpness is pretty nice. So that looks pretty good. Also, if we have here HDR that we can enable. So it has a lot of software features and a lot of extra options that we can actually see here. So we have different aspect ratios and the like. We have many extra options for geotagging and everything like that. So it's a pretty complete package. So I guess the question is, overall, would I recommend the Redmi Note 9S? Especially in these times, if you're looking for an above average powerful phone that can actually handle anything you throw at it, you know, from the most intense games to everyday multitasking. I mean, if we do some scrolling, yeah, it's fairly decent. And MIUI 12, as I've shown in my other reviews, just has very nice quirks to it. that really enhance the Android experience. I'm talking about system-wide dark mode. I'm talking about the ability to watch YouTube without having your screen on, stuff like that. You know, you've got a very, very elaborate theme engine, as I've already showed in other videos. It just looks, yeah, it's just a very, very nice device to use. And yeah, even if it doesn't have all the fancy stuff, it's still a very, very elegant phone. And we will dive deeper into some of the features of this phone that differentiates it from the regular Redmi Note 9. So stay tuned for that video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.